So there's like a lot of things we have to take into account with the Insight thing. How, first of all, for those who don't understand, he's a restricted free agent, which means he's still under contract, which means if a team wants him, they have to pay a buyout fee for him, as opposed to if he's unrestricted, meaning he could just go wherever. No team has to pay a fee. They just have to pay, obviously, his salary. But so he's still technically contract to the team. So I think it's the type of scenario where if he doesn't find a good option and Scrappy, which I'm pretty sure comes down to, wants to play with them, then they'll keep him. But I mean, let's not forget who Insight was in the last Black Ops title. And I mean, there's not many options in terms of places for him to go, especially being on like a top 3 team all year. It's hard to see a player like that downgrade too much. And if you look at the other main ARs in the league and things that they bring, um, compared to Insight, I mean, there's not really many others above him at the moment in terms of stock of main ARs, which is why I think he's going to land a home on like a top team, if not Ultra. But me personally, I think he's going on Ultra. I personally think Insight stays on Ultra. The only other option is NY. Some people could argue if he improves the roster with Skies, but I am honestly taking into account that Hydra and Skies are really good friends and they got very good chem. And I think Skies brings a very good mentality and vibe to that team. I know they've been very inconsistent, and that could be a number of factors. Could even say Skies. So it's like really confusing. It's hard to tell because NYSL, even though they won in MW2, I've already said it before, I didn't even think they were the best team in that game. It was just literally one player taking over, but I didn't think they're the best team in that game at all. Um, I mean, like they had a good champs, but I mean, it is what it is. But in terms of Insight, for like, we have to think like Insight with Hydra. Does Hydra even want to play with them? Like, I'm thinking that Hydra and Scrap, for example, are just they're thinking, man, we're literally two. Like, they're probably thinking this individually, not together. Maybe they have conversations together. Don't know. They're both thinking, man, we're top 3 players in the league. Like, we need to start winning more. Like, I feel like I'm wasting my talent on like these top 3, top 6s. Like, I should be consistently in the top tier of every event, top placings every event. That's probably what both of them are thinking. So I know a massive upgrade for both these teams is on the cards, but it's so hard. You look at all the options and the players of like, it's like there's really no clear cut. Like there's really no clear cut options. People say Abuza, they say Ghosty. I think I'm thinking overall. I'm not just thinking in game. Everyone could say in game, but there's so many things out of game that could affect in game, and I feel like Insight clears both of them. Abuza, I mean, I don't know how Abuza is outside of game, but I mean, I'm assuming they're nice people. I'm talking about mentality wise, leadership wise, like keeping the boys composed, like that type of shit. I feel like that's the stuff Insight brings. Good vibes. I could be completely wrong, but this is just from the outside looking in. And I know Skies also brings those kind of, has that leadership in him. Like we saw it even they got when they got knocked out, or they got knocked down a losers bracket by Optica Champs. The camera pans to Skies as he's like fist bumping his teammates, and he's like, yeah, don't worry, like we'll be back, like we'll be back, we'll be back. Bro, that's mentality shit. Is Abuza Ghosty going to bring that? I mean, Surge and LA Thieves, I mean, they've had good runs this year, but they've been very inconsistent. You could say it's overall just like team talent compared to like these other teams, but I don't think Ghosty for Abuza. Like, I'm just thinking Ghosty was Scrap and who else? I'm just thinking, I always think a team needs like, I always just think a team needs some sort of anchor, like some sort of like anchor, like just that, like honestly an accuracy type player, which is so crazy to say, but we're gonna get to accuracy in a second. But they need a player like that, and I think in Black Ops 6, Insight's gonna be a top main AR in this game. Like Insight's a very good player. I just think he got caught up in being very slow in this game. Granted, he was slow in Cold War, but I mean, it was just a different type of game. Is a lot more impactful. I feel like now that we're back on a normal COD, we're going to be seeing a lot more impact from these main ARs that we dubbed slow this year, because I just think it's like the way this game had been played with unpredictable spawns and everything, just a lot more angles had to be held. It's just like the game in general, like just the what it called for. But there is a lot of unacceptable things out of the main ARs in terms of engagements. Could have increased in certain scenarios. Me personally, I mean, it's so hard to even talk about roster changes this early because you have to see where all the players shift. When you see where players shift, it's a lot easier to see where these other missing pieces are going to go. But like right now, I would say he either stays on Ultra, or literally the next best option for him to go would be, I mean, if we just look at everything, if Cobra goes to Rocker, I don't think, like, I'm thinking of who these players mesh with, who they'll do good with. Like, I think about all this stuff. It could even be Vancouver, honestly. It could be Vancouver, like, because it's in Canada as well. He's already from there. I could see either a Vancouver, Ultra, or NYSL. Those are, like, the best three options. I'm thinking Ultra or Vancouver, honestly, because if Vancouver switches around, if Abuza leaves, and things around that roster change, it's still in Canada. I just moved to the other side of Canada, as you really want to do that. There's so many factors you got to take in, but, I mean, I would honestly hedge a bet on most likely Ultra. I think him and Scrap would do good in, honestly, Black Ops. I think they would, because who would Scrap want as his main AR that's available? Like, I think he thinks very highly of Jamie. I think he respects Jamie. I think that's staying the way it is. I don't think people should get the whole like free agent, I'm weighing my options thing. It's not like Scrap's like, get the fuck out of here, you bum, you know? It's not like any of that shit's going on. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm just speaking from the outside. But like, also he reposted Jamie's post on fucking he reposted Jamie's post of him searching for options, so that's also confusing. Like, that's very confusing. I'm curious what that means. If it's just a lot of like respect, I don't know. Anyways, that's the I don't have thoughts. I don't have much thoughts. I mean, honestly, my thoughts on the accuracy thing is, I know I've also been a critic of him this year, and I've not been high on him this year, but there's a lot of players I haven't been high on because of like just the way this game plays, and what you need is just not suitable for a lot of players. And honestly, I just think accuracy still has more to give in the league. Like, after marinating on it for like a week or two, I mean, I've always thought this just needs like a game like this again. Maybe you probably won't get this game, but honestly, you might see a situation where he ends up on it. I was actually gonna say, which is so crazy. So I guess we'll talk about that one too. I mean, we'll get to talk about this because this is like fresh off the press, because I mixed it in with the accuracy thing. I was just about to say, if the Falcons come to the league and they keep some of their players, a player who could probably help these players, I mean, they would still probably get dunked on. Honestly, they probably still get like body slammed. But a player I thought could like maybe insert into this team is accuracy, but they already announced the roster. It's the Challengers roster. I mean, all the comments speak for itself, but I'm not even gonna say no words. I'm just gonna use one picture, and this is my thoughts on this. I will say that before that, I mean, obviously we've seen these guys are shooters, but in terms of what it takes to be a pro player, it's gonna take them years. it's gonna take him years to get on the level of everybody else. But this first year, I mean, back when we're playing a normal COD with where fundamentals, normal spawns, we're assuming because it's Treyarch, I don't see a hope, of even like a top four. Like top six would be generous. I don't even see that. Honestly, I don't have high hopes for this team at all. I'm shocked they actually kept the exact challengers roster. I mean, like we all know why. Like I mean, we know the reason why and all that stuff. But I just whoever made this decision, man, I don't know. And all I gotta say is that like that's all I got. That's all I got for that. That's all I got for that. That's all I got. But back to the accuracy thing, I honestly think, I mean, I could be wrong, and it's so funny. I was watching like the pre-show for Breaking Point for Championship Sunday, and I heard Stocksman say actually he's weighing all of his options, and then Ben interrupted him, and I saw people in the chat going like, yeah, you're actually going to try to correct like his cousin, who clearly is like the number one intel source of accuracy, and you're trying to correct him and his thoughts. I thought that was hilarious, but I mean, he's weighing his options. I think it's too early for actually to be a coach. I still think he's got more to give. I still think in a game like this, we could see him if he gets the right team around him. He could still, I could still see him as a force in the league, bro. I could still see him as a force in the league. Not like okay, let me clarify. Not a force, okay? I still think he has value in the league in a playing position because I honestly, I really do actually think it sounds so crazy. It sounds so crazy after everything I said, but I think he has some sort of value. Even if it's on a top 12 team, top 10 team, top 8 team, top 6 team, I think he has value. I think we are thinking too much about skill and the things that skill brings, but not thinking about like all the other things that revolve around making like a good Call of Duty team, good Call of Duty player, good environment. But I say this, but I mean, we've seen in previous years like all the ups and downs his teams have had. So I mean, me saying that is a very contradictory statement, but I feel like there's so many ass players in the league already, and I mean, I weigh him a bit higher than some of the players in the league. And I mean, the Falcons team is probably going to be auto top 10, top 12, So, I mean, I was literally going to say that's like a spot for him to be on. I was actually thinking, I'm like, you know what? That could actually be a vibe. But yeah, that I was literally thinking it today. I go onto Twitter like 2 hours ago and I see that and I'm like, okay, never mind. Yeah, but it's so funny for me to say all this stuff about accuracy, but honestly, in the past 3 years, all this gas I'm giving him is kind of like just negated because his teams have still been making stupid mistakes, not playing well, very inconsistent. The only shining beacon was Seattle Surge and Vanguard, but that's highly due to Pred. But I mean, Pred had the role he had by two players on the team, Accuracy Mac playing very selfless, allowing him to roam. But I mean, maybe it is time for him to coach, honestly. But I just think he's got like 1 more year or 2 years left in him, maybe 1, if I'm being generous. But I still think he's got something. It may be too early for him to coach. I personally don't know how he would feel being a coach like a year after he was just competing. And if you still think, man, I still got some juice in me, might be too early. But I mean, his stock may be kind of low, maybe it's kind of high. There's a lot of questions, but I still think like looking at all the teams though, I'm just like, where? Like back on Vancouver Surge, he's not getting on Ultra, he's not getting on Subliners. I mean, Miami, like maybe, like not getting on LA Thieves. LAG probably going to get replaced. There's probably a couple of teams that are going to be getting replaced, so it's hard to even say. It all depends how the rosters form and what they need, but like I said, everything I've said about him has been negated by performances on these past teams in MW2, MW3, so I mean, it's hard to even say. But he had some success in MW2 as well, so I mean, Cold War. I mean, Cold War. What was he doing in Cold War? I forgot what he was doing. I'm pretty sure he got dropped in that game. I don't know. He's maybe at a point where the skill gap has uh surpassed everything he's been preaching, especially back now that we're back on a normal COD. But I mean, I could be wrong. And I mean, I guess we'll just talk about the other scene. I'm not surprised TJ got released from Royal Ravens, but I am kind of surprised as well. Clearly, it looks like they're keeping Gwyn and they're gonna try to build a team around him. But I am shocked about the Beans one as well. I'm shocked that Fellow hasn't gotten dropped. Like, if Fellow is on this team with Gwyn, I don't see a hope for this team in the future. I'm just gonna be completely honest. Like, Fellow, I think is a very good player, but I just think like the skill, like it depends what this team's going for. Like Gwyn, a rookie of the year, probably has a very high expectations for himself. Probably gonna get some offers on a better team, so we actually could see a world where he's actually just on a better team. But is Fellow on this team by himself? Because we haven't heard anything from this. This is why it's too early to even talk about rosters. But in terms of TJ, I think TJ obviously deserves a spot in the league. I think he proved his worth. And it's so incredible to see his growth throughout this year. Went from being average, everyone is talking about Gwyn constantly outshining him, TJ's not really playing well, to TJ picking it up, outshining Gwyn, and them kind of being on an even playing field going to like the second half of the year. I thought that was very typical out of TJ. Always known his potential, always known his skill. I'm chalking up those bad years of Vanguard MW2. Those aren't even real CODs. I think we're going to see a new TJ. But I mean, there's also Cold War as well. So I mean, that was a normal COD. And he was like an average player at that game. But I think I think him and Slasher need to reunite somewhere. I think him and Slasher need to try to find each other. I think those two would actually do. I think maybe, this is just me spitballing now, I think a team of Slasher, Beans, TJ, and throw an SMG in there. Throw an SMG in the comments of who could go with Slasher, Beans, and TJ. I think that could be a good team. Won't be on Rocker because I think Rocker got Cobra. So I'm curious what that team's going to be. I mean, it has Lins. So Cobra and Lins are together. So maybe Abuza goes to that team with them if he doesn't get an upgraded chance on like subliners. But that's just me spitballing. I think Slasher and Tej mesh very well together. Obviously, like, they're friends at a game. Beans is a shooter. Slasher main AR. TJ. You just kind of need like honestly, a superstar SMG. That'd be a great place for a superstar SMG to shine. But who would that be? Like, I'm not even gonna say superstar, but would you get like a Vivid in there? Like, who would you get? A Hook? But like, I think Hook might just be one step too far to the rogue category. You know, like it might just be one step too far, and like we need like a smarter. But like Hook and TJ, Beans and Slasher, like that. There's a world that could. There's a world that could work. There's honestly a world that could work. I'm trying to think of options. I was going to say Vivid, but I don't know how I feel about TJ and Vivid. Maybe Standy, maybe Slasher, Beans, TJ, Standy. But there may be some toxicity that maybe might happen on that team. I don't know. Nero and TJ. Nero, TJ, Beans, Slasher. Like Nero and Geo are also up. And although Geo is like a very good player, very good shooter, very high KD, I don't know if he's there in terms of like just like COD IQ. I think he needs a couple more years. I don't think he's gonna get onto like a top team, but I could see him getting on a team just because he had good stock going to the end of the year. A lot of players weigh stock of how you performed in the pro league, so I could see him getting into the league somewhere. As for like this Boston team, I mean, who the fuck knows? I just know Snoopy's gonna be on it, and I'm even looking at it on Breaking Point, and I don't see Purge's picture anymore, so I guess he's gone. But Call me crazy. Okay, so back on the inside thing, real quick. On the inside thing, hear me out. Hear me out. Could we see a world where maybe not on Ultra, but on another team, the old Toronto Ultra reunites? I'm not sure if Bance's stock is ruined, but can we see a world where Insight, Cammy, Bance, and Kleenex reunite? Is there a world for that? Or are Kleenex and Insight kind of like now on a new level that now like the other two like kind of gotta work their way up to? I mean, who knows? But I mean, not really much to say about these rosters. Not much to say about Fame. I don't think he's getting in the league next year. Could be wrong, but I don't think he's getting. And especially since now that Falcons have a spot used up, I don't think Fame is gonna get into the league next year. Could be wrong, but now we got 11 teams. 2 of them are locked down. 3 of them are locked down. Falcons, FaZe, Optic locked down. So I mean, I have to wait till I see some things form, because then that like actually you could actually make an opinion on that. But it's hard to. I'm not really the guy to really talk about like players, like it's just too early for that. We haven't played the game. We don't even know what the new game is like yet. I mean, we've seen it, but we gotta see the shit first, you know. But people asked me to talk about it, so I talked about it.